Doing good, my brother. Doing good. How
We're
about
doing
yourself?
good. How about you?
Doing just fine, and I'm excited about today because we're going to take callers today, and you already have callers that's been blowing up the phone lines
What you
already.
say?
So we have a caller that's on the line, but I'm going to let you go ahead and start off first, so we can address the caller.
All right. We last week we talked about making our time count with our spouses, such we can recognize and be mindful of how important our spouses are to us. When we consider them to be the most important person in our lives, and how precious they are to, we will make the necessary time for our spouse. So our challenge was to sit down for 10 minutes and think of 10 ways in which you have benefited from being married to your spouse. So our callers today are going to give us their top two ways of how they've been benefited from being married to their spouses.
So I'm going to start it off, Doc. I said I have benefited from my husband, a love that has always strived to make me happy. And then my second one is his love has unselfishly considered me and how things would affect me with whatever he did or wanted to do. And because of those actions, he never did anything impulsively. So those things made me feel safe.
That's special.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. And this was something that was actually put out there last week that callers are, you can call in to 850-671-1450. All right, Rhoda, do you want to take a call or do you want to move forward with Pastor Danny or myself?
We can go with either one of you, or we can take a call, however you want to maneuver it.
Okay, we have a caller that's on the line right now. Caller, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Hey, how are you? What's your name and how long have you been married?
My name is Josephine Nancy, and I've been married almost 42 years.
Wow.
42.
Okay. Danny and Rhoda, you can take it over. 42 years. That's a long time.
Okay, so Miss Josephine, we want you to tell us how have you benefited from being married to your spouse?
Well, first of all, hi, Rhoda and Danny.
Hello.
Hello.
What benefited the most to me is one, the benefits of my husband, my communication, he's always supported me in whatever it was that I needed, and he was always there for me.
All right.
And the other is that it has helped me to be a better me.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful.
That's awesome.
Look at it, the first of all, it's certain to you to make sure that you're measuring up to the woman of God or the woman that you're supposed to be. And that doesn't look a lot and me by that support that you've given me over the years.
All right.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much for your call.
You're welcome.
And I guess I can go with mine. Uh, my top two. My number one thing was she has become or is my major support system. I've had some major decisions in my educational and ministerial vocations, and she's made some sacrifices that she really did. She could have said no, but with her being my biggest supporter, she's been my number one fan, and I could say that she's been a major emotional and physical support system. And the other one was she gave me balance. A lot of times we can go off the cuff in our thinking and decisions that we're making, but she's been that balance to bring me back in to really think things through, that I can really look at things from another perspective. So I appreciate the balance that she's given me.
All right now. What you got, Doc D?
more of a person like, okay, like if take for instance, if I go to a store and I'm owed $10 and change, and somebody giving me $5 back, I'm the type of person to say, hey man, I just don't even worry about it, like that.
Okay.
He's the type to say, no, that $5 that could go, no, you got the receipt, let's go in there, and hell, I've always been that type of person to kind of move, like let's keep things kind of going, and that's not to say anything like towards how I am or he is, but they kind of work together because
Gotcha.
it's some things that I've benefited from, we benefited from as a family that I wouldn't have acted on if he wouldn't have said, hey, they owe you this. Let's check this bill. Let's call in instead of me saying, man, don't worry about it. I mean, I've just always been that type to say, don't worry about it, and he's kind of more assertive in that way. So that's one of the ways that I've learned how to kind of pay more attention to things too. When it not only affects me, it affects the family.
Amen.
Because if I'm letting things slide or letting things like that, that can it can grow. So that's one of the things that I really love about Latanya. He's really, really on top of things when it comes to not letting little things like that slide.
All right.
I know that's right.
Okay, you go ahead and move forward. We have callers that calling in.
Go ahead.
Let's take in a call.
And just I want to let you know everybody calling in, so it's just like all in my face. I'm trying to. I don't want to hang up on the wrong person. Call, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I did it right. Okay. How long have you been married, and what have you learned from your spouse?
I have been married for 16 years, and one of the big things I've learned from my another big one is others. And another big one is patience.
Okay.
How you doing, Olivia?
How are you?
We're doing good. And sometimes we have to, when we're trying to learn patience, we really have to work at it and go through the tests that are going to come with it.
So,
I agree. It's been a daily process.
yeah. Sometimes our mates will take us there where we have to develop that patience so that we can learn how to better deal with situations that we're faced with in our marriage.
All right, we thank you so much for your call.
Oh, you're welcome.
When it comes to patience, Danny and Rhoda, how do you practice patience? You got to have an opportunity or a test in order to test your patience, right?
Correct.
So for those times, we should take advantage of those moments to actually practice patience. How does that become, like they say, patience is a virtue? How does that become a positive asset for a marriage?
Well, basically, Doc, I look at it as that's one of God's attributes. And when you pray to God and say, God help me, I really need to develop patience, you have to be careful about what you're asking for because you have no choice but to go through a test. Now, the very things that he's going to test you in, they're going to come back to you. And if it's trying to see how far you're going to be patient with your mate, be patient with other people, that's where you're going to get your test from. Your biggest test is coming from that. And you're going to keep getting tested in it until you pass it.
And because of your differences in background, many times situations in your marriage will push you to the point where you have to. It could be your spouse's demeanor or how they handle conflict. It's going to push you to through those tests, as you said, that will force you to develop the patience that you need, such that when they come, rather than blowing up, you can count to 10 or take that breath and say, I got this. I can do it in a more calmer state than taking it and flying off the handle.
I think we got time for one more caller, 850-671-1450. And you're calling in to Marriage Takes Work. And that's with Danny and Rhoda Whitfield. And what's the question today?
The question today is, how have you benefited from being married to your spouse?
How have you benefited from being married to your spouse? And just take, for instance, Danny and Rhoda, either one of you can answer this question. What if someone can't come up with anything? Is that a problem? If they can't come up with something that they benefited from being with their mate?
Well, when you stay in marriage one day longer, you've benefited something. If it's nothing but to learn how to endure, that's something that you are benefiting from them. Everything is for a season, and any relationship that you have, God puts that relationship in you for a purpose. And so when that purpose has been met in that season, you're going to move to another season. Now, some of us are blessed to be like Danny and myself, getting ready to celebrate 40 years, like Miss Josie and her husband, to be married for 45 years. There have been some things that have pushed us to where we are. We didn't just wake up one morning and say, poof, here we are. It was something that we had to continue to go through and get promotions in and be tested in to make it where we are.
Every single Thursday, you know where to tune in, right here to Hallelujah 95.3 for Marriage Takes Work with Danny and Rhoda Whitfield. If you could close out with something, because we're going to continue the discussion on our Facebook page. I'm going to post it right there, so if you guys want to comment and say what have you learned or what have you benefited from being with your spouse, you can do that right there on our Facebook page. But what would you like to leave with the listeners as we close out today?
I would like to say, this whole thing came about with us during this time of this pandemic crisis, that this was a time for us to really reconnect with our loved ones and especially our marital partners. So this gives us an opportunity to really to reevaluate, to reassess where we are in our love life, and to bring us closer to each other, such we can value more each other and to value the time that we have as we continue into this cycle of being partners for life.
Rhoda?
Well, I was actually just allowing my husband to close us out. So we're going to say until next time,
love hard
and work your marriage.
The all new Hallelujah 95.3 FM.